We're going to talk about one of the most important features in the Geodatabase, versioning or high isolation, coming up. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry Podcast, and welcome to another Geodatabase talk episode. Today, we will discuss versioning. Versioning is a very popular feature of the Geodatabase uh, platform, and it is actually a property of what we call the enterprise geodatabase or multi-user geodatabase, right? So if we if you decided to deploy your geodatabase on top of one of these popular uh, database management systems like SQL Server, Postgres, or Oracle, uh, then you get the multi-user enterprise geodatabase, which allows multiple users to edit your geodatabase, right? You can connect through the network or publish it via service. And then you have multiple users editing your geodatabase. So just by having that snapshot, that unversioned uh, copy of your data, everybody will gonna edit the same view, essentially the same facade. Everybody's like editing this, but there was always the requirement where users want to work on projects, right? And they want to create their own word or their own view of the data, and and they will go there and they start editing, and only they can see these changes, right? And they don't want other users to see their changes, right? So essentially, like the Get approach, right? The GitHub or the Git module, where you basically create a branch and then start coding, and then you push that stuff. So something similar to that, but in general, this is with data. So you would make a table or a feature class on your geodatabase as versioned. We're going to talk about different type of versioning maybe in another episode, but let's say it's just versioned. All right. And then by having that table as versioned, right, the geodatabase start maintaining these changes in internal tables at the back end. So now a user can connect to through a workspace. We discussed workspace at the previous episode. I suggest you guys go back and just listen to that if you want to more about the workspace. So, and then the workspace will connect to the geodatabase. You specify with the user, your username, password, credentials, and you have an option here if your geodatabase is enterprise enabled, then you have an option to create a version or connect to a version, to an existing one. The cassette got jammed there. Sorry about that. All right, so you would connect through the workspace, and you specify the version that you want to connect to, and that essentially becomes your view, right? And guess what? You not only you can see, you can edit that view too, right? You can start changing that version and make a lot of changes, and then be in your whole, fully, highly isolated world of view of the data. So this allows users, for especially in the utilities business, not necessarily any company really, it's just like to connect to their data and start like they're working on a new project, a new road, they're building new highway or road, right? So they want to start editing their data, right? They want to persist this stuff in the GIS or in the system, but they don't want everybody to see because it's not ready yet, right? So they have this version, right? So you create that version, and guess what? Version can be private, could be protected, could be public. So what are the differences between the three? Private, you create a version, uh, and only you as a user specifying, like when you create a version, let's say I am Alice, right? And Alice created a version so called I don't know, San Diego, right? So Alice.San Diego is my fully qualified version name, okay? And if Bob tried to connect to my version, they won't even see it. Bob won't even be able to see my version because it's a private version. A protected version is uh, people can see my version, can view it, can change to it, but they cannot edit it, right? People cannot edit that version essentially. No, it's protected, right? So you can go ahead and view it, but you can't edit it. So it's a very, very important artifact there. And public, obviously, it means you can create a version and everybody can see it, everybody can edit it, right? Let's put an asterisk on that. Everybody can edit it. It's a very critical thing to say, right? Everybody can edit it while nobody else is editing. So it's a kind of a single user editing based on a single version, right? You don't want two people editing the same version at the same time. Bad thing can happen. All right. So yeah, that's in a nutshell versioning. I wanted to keep it light, very basic stuff, just to talk about versioning. And with the word versioning, we got a lot of other functionalities as well with the Geodatabase, and we're going to discuss it in the next episode. Guys, if you have any questions, put it down. If you're listening to the podcast, send me an email, gs.mhd@gmail.com, or tweet at me, HNASR. If you have any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm literally everywhere. Social media, you can find me. Just go to HusseinNasser.com. Feel free to ask me any question on this technology. If you're listening to this from YouTube, just put down your comment on the comment section. I'll get to you finally, and hopefully if your question is really good, we can just take it and maybe make it another episode. How about that? All right, guys, you guys stay awesome, and guys, see you on the next one. Goodbye.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.